I'm Jess.
And I'm Karli. And this is the Only Human podcast.
I could just feel that I was like so out of alignment with myself and my values. I felt so empty. I started to like feel like a shell of myself. That was so debilitating for me, like that fear of putting myself out there and just the fear of like letting people in. We have our emotional support water bottles.
We do.
Now we got the giggles.
I feel like, we need some breaths before this one.
We sure do. I was like trying to breathe in the car on the way here. And it's just those days where like you literally cannot get your breath. Like your chest feels so tight. And I feel like when we talked about how anxiety shows up for us, I said like it definitely shows up with like a tight chest and like an inability to just breathe deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what today was. Like from the moment I got out of bed till like the second that I'm sitting here, I just feel like I've been moving a mile a minute, like way too quick for my own good.
Yeah.
And here I am now decompressing literally in the chair. But yeah, I feel like when I came in, you could tell that something was like a little, I had tears in like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
But I actually feel like this helps though, because it kind of gets your mind off of the to-do list and all of the things.
Oh, yeah. When we're like here and talking, I'm like, I don't even know where I'm at. Like, I feel like I just get so like engrossed in the conversation.
Yeah. It's so funny. I was just gonna say, I never feel as present as I do here. And then you're like, I never know where I'm at. And I'm like, but we both mean the same exact thing. Like we get so lost in the conversation. Yes. And it's like so refreshing. It's almost like every time I walk out the doors after recording, it's like a weight off of my chest.
Yeah.
It's almost just, I don't want to call it a distraction, but it kind of is. It's in the best way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wore clown pants again today because last episode I had striped clown pants on, and now this is the state of my life. I'm wearing floods. They're about 6 inches too short.
But they weren't floods when you bought them.
They weren't. But this is from Amazon, so that's what. So yeah, you get what you pay for.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I only washed them like once though. What the hell?
Honestly, I feel like the capris are kind of the style though. Although I don't
not
love
with the high white socks.
You're just showing off your fancy socks today.
Yeah. But our topic for today, I feel like very much kind of fits with like my headspace right now because it's been a very busy work week and like honestly work season. I feel like the last few months have been in a good way, a little bit of like a whirlwind, especially because my job previously was like very fully remote. And we've been on site with clients more recently in the last like couple months. And while that's like way more gratifying, it's definitely a little bit more like intense. And so I think just speaking to like my headspace right now, a lot of that has to do with work just being extremely busy. And I know, obviously with your career as a nurse, I feel like you also deal with like overwhelm, work-life balance, but in an entirely different way. So I'm excited to kind of like talk about it and a little bit like compare and contrast what work-life balance and mental health in the workplace means to both of us.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I feel like you can use the same term, but like the feelings and like just the manifestations of it is so different. Like I was going to use the term burnout too. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. I feel like it's very things, it's like we're talking about the same thing, like things taking up our headspace and like just emotionally draining us and things like that. But they're just like so different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why do you feel like mental health is such a big conversation as it relates to the workplace now? I feel like we always start with these like big existential questions about like, why are we even talking about this today and why are we giving it space?
I am literally just making this up on the spot, but I feel like we're finally starting to realize that most of our life is spent at work. And like, if we are not happy in that place, then like, that's like 2/3 of our life that we're spending in that unhappy place and mindset and things like that. And I just feel like, now with like hustle culture and stuff, like it's becoming even more of a part of our life. And I feel like people are starting to finally like attribute the workplace to like attributing to their mental health. I don't know. I could just be like literally making that up, but
no, I mean, that makes sense to me. I feel like we are kind of a generation that asks ourselves the question of like, how are we doing, or like tuning into our mental health and anxiety and depression. Like it's such a larger conversation now. More studies have come out about it. So I think we're just way more aware than the previous generation who had the mindset that was very much so like, just keep grinding. Doesn't matter if you're sick, go to work.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you hate your job.
Don't miss a day.
Don't miss a day.
Yeah.
Like, stay at your company for 30 years. Have loyalty to the big man. Like, and our generation kind of flipped that on its head. And I think because we are less willing to settle and more keen to kind of like jump from company to company, it's also in the best interest of the workplace to ensure that their employees are happy and engaged, because ultimately I think that will mitigate turnover, which is a very like lofty expense in the long run.
Yeah.
So I think both the employer and the employee are kind of like tuning in a little bit more and making sure that the mental health is, you know, in a good spot.
Yeah. I'm so curious to hear, like, we don't have to get into this now, but you're just making me think about, like, I feel like I just saw this thing and it was like, mental health for workplaces right now is just like a box that they can check. They're like, oh, we offer yoga once a month. Like, all right, we checked the mental health box. So I'm like so curious to see how like it shows up as an employer, like in a 9-to-5 job, like in that industry. Cause like, I don't really know, but I'm just like, do you think they actually care? Like, what are the efforts that are actually being done to like say that they're trying to like do better things for your mental health?
I think it's really challenging for the employer to actually know how to support mental health, because I think every individual is so different, and what I might need out of my company, like, it might be different than the next person. I do think sometimes it can be a check the box, because I think ultimately mental health in the workplace is never going to be something concrete. It's never going to be a program that you offer. It's never going to be a resource that you're giving. Like, I think it's more or less like a culture, a vibe, a feeling, a mindset, and it's like less tangible. And so that's why I don't think it's coming from like a malicious or like ill-intentioned place. I think they make genuine efforts, but ultimately I think you either have it or you don't. And you offering a wellness break for 30 minutes on a Wednesday afternoon, like, isn't necessarily going to drastically improve the mental health of your employees.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Like, I can't imagine how hard it is to not even just cultivate like a good experience at work and just like culture, but to change it. Like, how do you even, when you have so many people that are working there and that are different, like, it's so hard without being so like cutthroat. Like, oh, you're not adhering to like the company culture. Like, you're not fitting in with our vibe. Like, you don't work here anymore. Like, it's so, I think
it probably differs by industry. And so I think finance is known to have maybe like a little bit more of like an intense, hardcore culture. Whereas maybe something like a startup, right? That's not like an industry, but like a startup company has more of like a laid back, mental health conscious vibe. Yeah. And so I think it can very much like differ depending on the industry that you're in. That makes sense?
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I'm just like, I don't know. It's just like, it's such a hard thing. Like, I'm always like playing devil's advocate. I'm just like thinking about it in the employer's seat. Like, it just, if it's not there already, and then just say someone like came in and was like trying to cultivate like a better office culture, or like just like be better for the mental health of their employees. Like, I don't even know how you would go about that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why it's kind of like ingrained in the, like the hiring process as well. Like, they really look for a certain individual. I think it's easier to control if you're in like a smaller company setting than like thousands of employees nationwide. But I think that's very much like a focal point in attracting talent. It's like they're not hiring just for your skill set. They're truly hiring for the fit, which is why there's a behavioral component to the interview.
Yeah.
But I'm curious what like work-life balance and mental health in the workplace mean to you.
So I feel like in the healthcare industry, from my experience, I feel like work-life balance is more about like emotional balance and like emotional regulation, and being able to like separate yourself from work in a way, like emotionally. I work 3 12-hour shifts. So like for me, it's not that I'm feeling like burnout or anything necessarily because of time. It's a lot about like mental capacity, emotional capacity, and things like that. So I feel like in my experience, I feel like that's what I think about when I think about like mental health in the workplace, like making sure that you're, you know, like healthily coping with the things that you deal with and the things that you see, and just like the job's just very emotionally demanding and mentally demanding. So like being able to like decompress your brain and your body sometimes too. But like, yeah.
Do you feel like that's more so on the employee to have like resources in place for themselves to cope? Or do you think that the employer, like hospitals, actually have like resources and programs in place to ensure that their employees are like in a good spot, especially in nursing and like healthcare?
Yeah. I feel like it's so hard. Like I do think that the individual has a lot of the control in that aspect, but I do think the company or the hospital has to be like receptive and like understanding. So like if I come to like one of my supervisors and I say like, I'm really struggling with this like situation that happened, like, you know, can I be in this part of the unit or whatever, like, because I'm like having a hard time dealing with this or whatever, like, and just like being understanding and receptive, I feel like, to like the needs. But I also feel like we don't ever like come to our employer and like ask for anything like that. So I feel like it is on like the individual a lot, but I feel like there are some things like just within like giving them giving the employees grace in certain aspects. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like you've personally gotten better at like being able to compartmentalize your life and like your work day? So when you're coming home from like a really tough day, do you feel like over time, because you've been a nurse for like some time now, you've been able to cope a little bit better and like leave work at work?
Yeah, I do think so. It goes into a lot of like my personal life where I was trying to like feel my feelings more like in the moment and not just let them build up. Like that was something that was like happening with work too. It was like I wasn't really feeling my feelings and attributing like, you know, emotional burnout to like my hard day and just kind of like powering through it and being okay until I wasn't okay anymore. So like since I've worked on that in my personal life, it has translated into like work as well. But I feel like before we get into all that, I also want to hear from your perspective about like what mental health in the workplace means to you in like a corporate job.
Yeah.
Especially working from home.
Yeah. I think contrary to you, it's not really like emotional like based. It's way more like time bound. And so work-life balance to me is like, yes, being able to show up at work, but also being able to have a fulfilling life and time outside of work. And I think I have a greater appreciation for work-life balance because I didn't think that I had great work-life balance when I worked in finance. That was a little bit more of like an all-consuming job. And so like I would be on the desk from like 6:15 a.m. until like 5 p.m. And then a lot of times we would have to go out after work, or at least that was like the expectation as you progressed in your career and like interacted with clients more. So as like a junior trader, sales trader, I didn't have to do that, you know, every single day, but like I felt the pressure to, and I knew that that would be like more of an expectation as I continued to progress. And so I just felt extremely like time poor.
Yeah.
And I also just felt very burnt out because I wasn't doing enough of the things that mattered to me. And I didn't feel like I had that time outside of work to do those things. And so once I re-entered corporate and chose consulting, yes, I chose a fully remote job, and it really didn't have any like on-site obligations. That's kind of like fairly new with like our new business model. It's a little bit more hands-on. We like do workshops for clients in person, which I really like. I really like that interaction, and it's infrequent enough that it's not overbearing. Like a week like this week and today, I'm just coming off of a workshop, so it's a little bit more like time and energy intensive, but that's not normal. And generally speaking, I think I'm so happy at this job and this company, and I've been there for, you know, about a year and a half, and I usually start to get the itch at like that 1 year mark. And so I know that I'm kind of in a good spot because I have no intention to like look elsewhere or not stay. And I think that just speaks to the fact that I can show up at work and I can be driven, I can do a good job, but when 5 o'clock rolls around, I'm closing the laptop and living a life outside of it. And just speaking to mental health in the workplace, I think my company does such a good job at letting the individual show up as they are. And so this is a prime example. Like, they know about the podcast. And I took 4 hours of PTO this afternoon, and my manager, as I left, was like, good luck with podcasting. And like, we had a company all hands the other week, and one of the partners was like mentioned that I was like joking that I was like some big podcast host or whatever in front of the whole company.
I wish.
And I know. I was like, wouldn't you like to manifest that for me? Thank you. But I just find it so refreshing that I can be a whole person with other hobbies, and they know that I'm still
like
showing up.
in.
Yes, I'm still all in, and I'm still being a good employee and getting my work done, but they appreciate that Karli, the individual, needs other things to fill her cup in order to show up day in and day out. And I've never had that before. And it kind of goes back to like, different industries might allow different things and different companies might allow different things. And so I know that it's a luxury because I think that can be rare to find.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like, I feel like there's so many episodes and instances where we incorporate like, you have to fill your cup first, whether it's like to be able to show up better as a mom or as an employee or whatever. Like, that is so important. And like, to have management that understands that and encourages it. Like, I think people would think that they could get easily taken advantage of, but it actually, if you have the right people, it actually will like do way better for you. Like, their work will just be better, I feel like.
Yeah, I think that's why also mental health has become such a topic, because it is correlated to like productivity. And again, like lower turnover of employees if the mental health is good. And again, that ends up being way costly if you have this high turnover. So companies are incentivized to keep their employees happy because the company benefits in the long run as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think it's a big part of just like reiterating of showing up as you are, because I think there's this like notion to some people that they have to show up and be like the corporate side of them, and they can't talk about their family, or if they're having a bad day, they can't drop the veil. They can't be only human.
Oh my God.
And how exhausting is that to be at a job, whether you're in person or on Teams meetings for 8 hours, pretending to be someone you're not, or pretending that you don't have problems that you actually do. Like, that is a surefire way to like burn yourself out.
Yeah.
And so I think it's so important for companies to just recognize their employees as humans. So yeah, to me, that's what mental health is. It's not just the time component, but it's me being Karli the person, not just Karli the employee.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I've never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
And it's so hard because I'm also like literally so far removed. Not that I was ever there, but I'm very far away from the corporate world. I have literally no idea. Like, I was just thinking, like, what happens if you're sick? Can you like, if you're not in like an amazing company like you are in, like, what happens? Like, do you just like call out and be like, I'm not coming in, I'm sick? But like, is that frowned upon?
It shouldn't be frowned upon. People do have like sick leave in addition to, or like sick time in addition to their PTO. Every company is different. But no, I would say like generally speaking, even in corporate America, again, generally speaking, because if you're like a trader, for example, and like, I don't know, nobody can like trade your book or whatever. Like, there might be some dire instances where you have to come in anyway. But no, I think it's very acceptable to call out. What about you guys, though? I feel like you're almost more dire. Like, do you have to find somebody to cover your shift? Does the hospital do that?
Yeah. So, like, I was going to say, that's what I love about my job is, like, although maybe not emotionally, sometimes I can leave work at work, but, like, literally when I clock out, like, someone else is doing the job. And, like, it doesn't matter if I'm there or not. And so, like, if I call out for the day, like, I'm not worried about it because, like, there are 1,000 other people there that can do my job. Like, the work's still going to get done per se. Like, it's not like I'm taking time off, but then I'm going to pay for it when I come back. So I'm going to have double the work because I missed the work last week. So we get, I mean, every place is different, but we get just 5 call outs per year. So it's like sometimes the companies will separate them. Like, you can have like sick time and then like vacation time. But ours is like all in one. So you don't have to like, some people will say like they're taking a sick day, but they're not actually taking a sick day. They're like taking the day off for whatever reason. But like they have to use like a sick day. So then they have to like pretend that they're sick or whatever. Like, but ours is just like blanket, like call out. It doesn't matter what you're calling out for, if you're sick or not sick, whatever. So we get 5 of those per year. And so like, that's the nice thing is like, I don't have to feel bad or like I'm going to have to catch up or anything. Like, I can like truly just leave and like work is there. I'm going to pick it back up when I clock in. But like otherwise, I don't have to think about it at all, which is so nice.
That's such a nice thing to have at a job and like in a career, is like being able to leave your work at work. And I do think there are like corporate jobs that do have that, whereas other jobs, you're like on call. If you're like deal based, you're like very much at like the beck and call. And I think that's almost, it's so anxiety inducing, even if you're not doing the work, because you're always anticipating potentially having to, or it's just like hanging over your head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there was like, I kind of compare it to when we were in school and you finished a semester and you went home for like Christmas break or summer break and you're like, I couldn't even do something right now if I tried because my classes didn't start yet.
Right.
Whereas sometimes like with work or in certain jobs, there's always something you could be doing.
Yes.
So I feel like it's so nice to like have that like clear distinction between like, I'm at work, I'm working.
Yes.
I'm at home,
I'm not
working.
Yeah.
But like,
It's
I don't think
so
every career
nice.
has that.
And I didn't realize it until like I kind of put 2 and 2 together and I was like, it is just so nice to like not like, I think it's stemmed from like me hearing about someone that like went on vacation for a week, one of our friends, and then came back to like 500 emails. And it's like, that makes me not want to go on vacation because you're literally just like now doing double work for probably like 2 weeks because you have to catch up. And it's like, no, like that sucks. I don't know.
Not to take this on a complete tangent, but I just think there's a larger conversation here about like how we view work in America versus other countries. Like taking time off just made me think about like maternity leave, paternity leave in America versus other countries. And it's like so looked down upon. And there's like such a stigma around like taking your time, especially like for paternity leave. Like I know in some industries, like maybe if you're like a police officer or again, like a trader or something. And like, I think my coworkers used to take like 2 weeks off or something after like having a baby.
Oh my God.
And it just like speaks to, again, the culture and the expectation that's placed on the individual that even if a company is giving you more time, it's frowned upon if you take it. And it's like, why do we feel guilty for like taking well-needed time, whether it's so that you don't burn out or to help your wife with your newborn baby? Like, and other countries just don't prioritize career and work the way we do. But we are so stuck in this like hustle culture that we forget what life is all about.
It's so true.
Which is enjoyment and fulfillment and connection and family. And like, it's, we just get so lost in the sauce. And it's so frustrating because it's just ingrained in our culture. So it's really hard to like detangle that from like the companies and like the, I don't know,
culture.
Everything that's embedded in the culture. Yeah.
I feel like I saw this video once and it was like, just say it was this guy from Italy and he was like, when someone asks me like, who are you? What do you do? I say, oh, I like to play tennis. I like to do this, whatever. And if I ask someone from America, they'll say like their profession first. Like it's just part of our identity.
Isn't that funny? That's always one of the first questions. Like, oh, what do you do?
What do you do for work?
What do you? Yeah, because we do so like closely intertwine identity and career. And I'm guilty of asking that question because I think it does say a lot about somebody. And I'm so curious because it's such a large part of your life.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how can you not? Like, how can it not be a part of your identity when like we spend 40 hours per week there, you know?
Yeah. In the conversation of mental health, like I think burnout is definitely a huge, huge thing. And I think it could potentially look a little bit different in maybe like the healthcare industry versus, you know, consulting industry or like a true corporate. So I'm just curious if you've ever experienced burnout and if you can maybe pinpoint like what it was that like led up to that.
For me, burnout looks like being emotionally exhausted and having like zero patience, like sympathy. It's very difficult to like have patience, especially working with kids. You need a lot of patience. So like sometimes I just feel like my patience has run dry and sometimes my sympathy has run dry. And I'm just like, that's what burnout feels like for me. It's very much emotional burnout. And I feel like that comes from when I am not like giving space for my feelings. So if I have a particularly hard day at work, I used to just like move through it and be like, it's all right, we're good, like I'm done now, and not really like give any space to it. But now I'll kind of like reflect on my day and be like, wow, that was really hard, like that was really emotionally taxing, and maybe like talk about it. and just like talk about which parts were tough. And like that just allows me to like process it and feel the feelings, and like that allows me to not feel too burnout.
Yeah, because you're not like harboring all of that emotion.
Yes.
And then you don't reach like this climax of like you've been holding it all in and it's like all now boiling over.
And it's like at a point where you just like don't have any emotional energy left, because you have like, you're spending so much of your emotional energy like harboring those feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when do you actually get to like process those emotions? Is that on your drive home? Because I would imagine it's not in the moment, because in the moment I would surmise that you have to just push it away, put it in a black box and just stay strong for the kids and for the other nurses. Or is it when you get home? Like, do you debrief with Aunt? Like, what is your time to give yourself that space?
I think it's mostly on my ride home. And like in the shower before I go to bed. I usually am able to like leave it to that day. Like once I go to bed, then I reset in the morning. But yeah, I feel like on my drive home, I actually recently cried for the first time at work.
Wow.
Which like, it was very annoying, but it felt like a win. I like literally used to pride myself on not crying at work. Like, because I was just like cool, calm, and collected. Like I could get through anything. But yeah, there was a situation where I was crying. Like I was cool in the moment. And then once I left the room and like started to try to do other things, I like lost it.
Was it like an emotional cry or like an overwhelmed cry? Like, were you sad or were you like stressed out, overwhelmed?
I feel like it was like it was like an overwhelm cry, I feel like.
I guess, yeah, I'm trying to distinguish if it was the situation itself that made you cry or like the state of mind you were in.
It was the situation.
Okay.
But it wasn't like nobody died or anything. Like it wasn't like I wasn't sad for that. It was just like a very emotionally taxing situation. And I literally like could not stop crying. And I had like a million other things to do. And I like had to go back into the room, whatever. So I like during that time, I was like, this is great. I'm so happy that I'm feeling my feelings, but this is really fucking inconvenient right now. Like I need to pull it together.
It's hard to pull together.
Like literally. And if I like start crying and I don't allow myself to cry, I'll never stop. So then I'm like, I finally gather myself. I know my eyes are all still red. I go back out of the bathroom and someone's like, are you okay? Instantly start crying again. I'm like, I need no one to ask me if I'm okay.
It's that question. We talked about that in our therapy episode.
Don't
like when
ask me if I'm okay. Yeah.
I do think in that episode, I referenced like, why is it that when a health professional of some sort, but it really is just anybody. Just like today when like I walked in to record and I was just like started to say like, it's just been a lot. And I immediately started crying. It's just somebody else giving you their undivided attention.
Giving you like the space.
Yeah. And like the eyes of like, just like sympathy almost. And then it feels like a safe space. But I was going to ask, when you are crying at work, because I think crying at work, I'm comparing like crying in a hospital, that feels like fitting, right? Like you guys deal with very tough things. But then people joke like, I'm crying in the bathroom. In a corporate job, that means something totally different. And it's usually for like some stupid reason, like your boss was like mean to you, but like for your situation, that makes sense. You're dealing with very emotionally heavy situations. So is it less or is it more acceptable?
Yes,
to cry?
It's definitely acceptable. I just like didn't want to be that person ever. But now I'm like appreciating that I am feeling my feelings, but I'm also like, okay, I really like. And I also don't want to draw attention to myself. Like no one wants to like be the person why everyone's like, why is she crying? Like what happened? Yeah. But yeah, so little tangent, but there was like a small win, but I was like, this friggin' sucks.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
So yeah. So I feel like since I've been able to kind of like give myself the space in all aspects of my life, I feel like I've been able to like compartmentalize and like just separate myself a little bit better and just like not feel as burnout as much.
Yeah. And I feel like similarly, like just thinking about what burnout looks like from my point of view, it probably does take the shape of like giving yourself the space, but in such a different way. And I think for me in the past, like when I felt the most burnout, it didn't always mean that I was doing too many things, too many tasks. it was like I felt like I wasn't doing things that were like aligned with my intrinsic values, and therefore I was so burnt out because I felt like I wasn't doing things that mattered to me. And my burnout almost manifested in like no feelings at all, like callousness and like no motivation to do anything. Like I was just on autopilot. And I definitely talked a little bit about this in the first episode because it definitely led to like that quarter life crisis where I just quit finance and really took like an extended hiatus. I mean, sometimes I think, we hear the word burnout and we always think that it's a result of, again, just like overburdening ourselves and our plate and just running a million miles a minute. But that's not always the case. I think we can experience burnout for other reasons. And sometimes it's just because you're not doing the right things.
Yeah, that's exactly. You just made me think like how many people feel burnout and then are like attributing it to their job or their boss or whatever it may be. But it really might not be because of that necessarily. You know what I mean? And like they might not understand that because I've never heard anyone say that before. That like I'm not burnout because like you said in your journal entry, like I'm not like burnout because I'm working too much or work is really hard. It's like literally that I'm not doing things that I like to do.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like myself.
Right. Right. And then I have days like today where I'm like, I am burnout and it's because I'm doing too many of the things that matter to me. Like we were just, chatting before we started recording and I was emotional because I'm just feeling very overwhelmed. I'm like, it's all good things.
Yeah.
It's
and
like,
you feel like guilty for feeling like that too.
But also it's so hard when you don't feel like you have like a moment to yourself. And I literally feel like I'm playing like whack-a-mole. And like, it's like if I don't do this, like I'm waking up at 4 a.m. every night and there's racing thoughts as if like there's like a slideshow and everything's just like, and I have to like try to like bring myself to the beach or like the farmhouse or like imagine a curtain coming down being, my dad says this like before he goes to bed, he's like, the show is over. And then that's his signal for his brain. Like enough, the thoughts have to stop. They'll be there in the morning. But yeah, I feel like if I take a beat, I could potentially drop a ball. And there's just so many balls in the air right now. And I don't want to drop any of them because they're all important to me.
Yeah.
And this is also just a period of life, right? Like life ebbs and flows. I knew this summer was going to be so busy and post summer with like wedding season, which is exactly like where we're at. And again, I wouldn't change it, but it doesn't change the fact that I just feel like I'm running on empty.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how you like come back from that when you don't have a break in the near future.
That's exactly how I was feeling a couple weeks ago before we went to I keep calling it a cabin. It was not a cabin. It was like a villa. It was very bougie. It was not like
it looked so nice.
A log cabin, but that was exactly how I was feeling. And I literally was like crying and I was like, all of these things are so important to me. And I literally can't choose one to give up for like right now for my sanity. And I don't want to give any of them up. And so I was feeling a little bit of anxiety, like going into that couple-day trip. My husband and I went to a little villa in the middle of the mountains and we stayed there for like 3 nights and we did absolutely nothing. And so I was feeling a little anxiety leading up to it because I was like, oh my gosh, like in all that time, I'm not going to be doing anything, nothing productive, like nothing is moving the needle, whatever during that time. But like as soon as I relinquished control and just like allowed myself to enjoy it, like all of those things are going to be there when I come back. And like, yes, maybe the list will be like stacked a little bit higher, but like it's okay. Like you need this time to be able to do those things because you just like can't continue the way that you are right now. You know?
Not to relate this to like the gym, but like they say you need rest days.
Yeah.
It's vital because that's when the muscles can grow. I'm laughing because my manager Alex always uses analogies and he always talks about our strategy muscles and he's always like rest them because it's important. That's when information like sinks in. But it's true, and I think it's the same way when we're talking about like being super busy, but then when we rest, like we can only thrive in the busy seasons if we're allowing ourselves those slower seasons. And it's quite literally vital because you can't be on 100 all the time. Then you're going to run yourself into the ground. So I'm glad you had that time. You're going to have to send me that villa because I want to go
and now
there.
we're going to go to the villa because you need some time away.
But it really is like, you are in charge of your own mental health and nobody else is going to force you to take a day off. And I think we all have this tendency to try to be a hero. In life, at work, we always want to be the yes woman saying like, yes, 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 I can, continue to take on more. And then the friend that's like, yes, 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 I can be there and I can be there. And we really are in control of how much we take on. And when we feel like we're burning the candle at both ends, it's also our responsibility to take time off, to take a trip, to recognize it. Because again, nobody's going to do it for you. And so I think that's kind of where I'm at. Like I joke, like if I stop, I'm going to drop a ball, but like you're going to drop one eventually if you don't slow down.
Right. You're going to drop it because you just like literally can't handle everything at once,
Yeah.
So it's like instead of dropping it, why don't you choose to put it down?
I love that. Look at you.
That in my head. Okay, so yeah, instead of dropping the ball, just decide to put it down and then you can pick it back up when you're ready. It's going to be there.
It's a conscious decision and it feels less like a mistake when you drop it and more of like an intentional choice or honestly prevention measure.
Yeah.
Wow, look at you.
So insightful.
I'm going to put 2 balls down actually. Not sure which ones, but oh my god. Let's be real, I'm not picking them up. I haven't been picking them up lately anyway.
Oh my god.
We might have to cut that. Your face, that was all you. I was being innocent over here, just being like, I need a break.
No way.
I'm not putting one down, I'm putting 2.
I did not pick that up.
Your eyes up.
I didn't think I picked it up before you gave me the eyes. We'll have to roll the tape back and see what happened.
So we're keeping it in.
Oh, we're keeping it.
Oh, Lord. That's really funny.
I don't know how we move on from
I know. I was going to say, do we still need to do our mental health resource this week? Or can we just wrap it up here?
My mental health resource is actually very related to what we were just talking about.
Hit me.
It's putting the phone away.
Putting the phone away?
Putting the phone away.
Love that.
When we went to the villa, we literally I looked at my phone like once a day probably. And we literally just talked. We did yoga. We played board games, like literally just slow, like unstimulating things. And it was amazing.
Did it feel at all unnatural or painful in the moment? Or were you not even recognizing that the phone wasn't a presence?
I feel like I did a couple times have like the urge to check it, but I was also like, what the fuck am I checking it for? What am I looking for? Who do I hope texted me or wonder?
I don't know, me?
Like maybe we went viral on TikTok and I was missing it. Honestly, like you never know at this point. But yeah, I did feel like I had like a couple urges, but I wasn't like shaking without it. Like I just like let it sit on the table and like that was that.
I also love like having it out of sight.
Yes.
Too, like just like leaving it, like say you guys were like outside for a walk or something, like leaving it behind, like just having it on our body, not only like with like the EMFs, like but just like out of sight, out of mind.
Totally. Like if you go out for a walk, like you don't have to take your phone with you. I think that's so important. And when you have it physically on your person, you're so much more likely like to just pick it up and look at it. I do it all the time. And then I'm like, oh, I want to look at the weather for tomorrow because I'm like thinking about a million things. This has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. But I'm like, oh, wait, I forgot to look at the weather for tomorrow. Next thing you know, I'm on TikTok replying to comments. Like, how did I get here? And what did I even come on my phone for? Because I didn't look at the weather, you know? Just put it away. Put the phone away.
Yeah. Do you ever see there was like this invention, so just like a piece of plastic and it's the shape of an iPhone and people would like put it in their pockets because it mimicked like the phone being in your pocket. But then you would like take it out and like you're like, oh wait, this isn't actually my phone. It was like just a mold basically. And it was to get people off of their phone.
Does that kind of train you to like not like habitually take it out because there's nothing, you don't get anything from it?
Maybe.
You know what I mean? That's actually crazy because I do feel a little like naked without it.
I even carry my phone from like one room to the other.
Yes, I know. And when I notice that I'm doing that, I'm like, this is too much.
Yeah.
Like even when Anne and I like go for a walk, we'll usually just bring one phone for like music. And I'm like, oh, where's like, I feel weird. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I do think it's like something you practice though. Like the more that you do it, the more natural that it feels. Like I think you experience a little bit more anxiety off the bat not having it just because it just feels so weird.
Mm-hmm.
But then like once it's more normal, you kind of like settle in and just like appreciate, and then it's less anxiety like
Yeah,
prone.
for sure. All right, what's your mental health resource?
My mental health resource is actually something that I was trying to do on the way over. It's called butterfly tapping. And so, surprise, surprise, it has to do with the nervous system. This is something my therapist taught me. And it's essentially just like crossing your hands over one another and placing them on your chest and then just like rhythmically tapping. And it's like bilateral stimulation.
Mm.
And so it just helps take your body out of fight or flight and activate parasympathetic mode so that your body can rest and digest. Just relax.
I love that.
Very calming for the nervous system, and especially when you're having like an overwhelming day or feeling like signs of like a panic attack or anxiety, like just taking a second, and if you just do it for like a couple minutes, it like really helps. Again, instantaneous, in the moment.
Yeah. That reminds me of what I do with the babies at work when I want them to calm down. I pat their chests.
So I always say that even in my Pilates flow, like I do a lot of like rocking, like if we do like a really hard like core series, I'm like hold your knees into your chest, slowly rock from left to right. And I verbally explain why I incorporate so much rocking.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, like, God knows my nervous system needs it, but it goes back to when we were babies. Like, that's a soothing effect on the body to rock from one side to the other.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I love like tricks like that, whether it's taking it back to how our ancestors lived or how we were as children. Like, not much changes as we get older. We just forget what worked.
But our body doesn't forget.
But our body does not forget. Yeah. So I love that. And I had to tap into it today.
You were like at red lights, like, or maybe that's why you were swerving on your way over here because you were trying to tap.
Probably a little bit of both.
All right. You going to wrap us up?
No. Fine, if I must, since you're throwing a riot over there. She's on strike.
Ever since you started doing it and I just got to do the bye, I'm like,
it is kind of
I'm
nice.
hanging on to it.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will catch you in the next one.
Bye.